how the money works. You can have great people, you can have great ideas, you can have great infrastructure. But if you don't understand how the financial part of all of this works together, there's a lot of great ideas that are buried in graveyards. Amateurs hyper-focus and obsess about strategies and ideas. Experts really get into the details as to how and why something works.
Welcome back to The Real Grind, guys, where we talk about real estate all day long, businesses, and we sip on the best cup of coffee. Look, I can tell you, a lot of people come here and they never had the kind of coffee that we have, because Italo, I'm proud to say that we have the best coffee in the world.
I think we do. I think we do. And our guests have told us that, and to the point where they're like, where can I get it? Are we gonna reach into our secret stash, or are we gonna share the secret stash?
I don't know, man. I don't know, but I have a question for you. Would you rather, the production wrote this for me. Would you rather have a coffee on a hot summer?
Or?
There was no or, that was it.
Well, let's put it this way. I'm at the point now where I don't drink hot, extremely hot coffee, so coffee will go for me any day. I'll be okay with coffee.
It's like in some areas, man, some areas of the world, especially Alaska, that's why. You know what I'm saying? People is cold and probably 365 days of the week.
So they do like their hot beverages.
I'm kidding, I'm not gonna say that. But the guy's gonna come today, he's super great, and he's gonna talk about a little bit about real estate, a little bit about investing in people. But before that, we're bringing him on stage. Let's get the show started.
Waking up to success, now we're getting it started. This is the real grind. Everything you've been wanting, building an empire, no question. Talking about real estate, investing, making the millions, no stopping. While we sip on, go and make coffee. The real grind, this is the real grind. Let's go.
And the guest today, he's Alaskan-born producer of people, real estate investor, and he's a passion about connecting skilled people together at the right place at the right time. And welcome on the stage, Jedidiah Wick. Let's go, bro. My man. Bro, it's never a while when you see people that you like, you know what I'm saying? Because when you do connect, think about it, one of your best friend, of somebody that you like, right? You be apart forever. Then when you see each other, it's like never left. Is that true?
That's true. I think also growing up the way I grew up, it's like that's what you had. You had this expectation of it might be next summer that you see each other.
Why?
Because weather, distance.
And also...
Right. And then growing up in a small town, it's normal to not see people for weeks sometimes because they live up the tracks. You got snow. You got all kinds of
weather. So is it true, that statement, that it's cold all the time in Alaska, man? You got only very short period of time. So how is it? I've never been in Alaska myself, but...
Neander, think of it like this. Brazil's a country.
Yeah.
Right? And I don't know quite the square mileage of it, but Alaska, for reference, we're in Texas.
Yeah.
Alaska is 6 times the size of Texas, approximately, landmass. So when you talk about, like, it depends on which part of Alaska you're in.
Where part are you from?
South Central. So you got Anchorage, you go north about 130 miles, and there's a small, technically it's a village, Talkeetna, Alaska. Zip code 99676.
All right. And, okay. And we're going to do an insert right now. Production is going to do this post-production, but we're going to put a footage of Jedidiah at Luna Vista in the middle of the summer wearing all sweatshirts and stuff. That takes a unique skill set to do, man. I don't know how you pull up. I'm sweaty, and right now we're in the fall.
Well, brother, here's
so let's watch that video real quick. All right, now that you watch the video, you see that the kind of people that we're talking about here, right? It's like he wears sweats on the summer, and probably in the winter he's in shorts.
Yeah, here's the thought, right? Insulation works both ways.
True.
Right? It's about energy conservation and energy release. So breathable insulation.
Interesting. True.
Right? So when we build structures, we don't insulate just from the heat to keep heat out.
Yeah.
We also do it to keep core temperature stable.
Hey, Got it. Was those like Yeti sweatshirts or something?
I mean, hey, I don't think anybody's invented that yet. But
Right,
we
that's
could call
cool.
it the Jedidiah Wick sweatshirt or something.
Let's go, brother. Talk a little bit. How was growing up, and what you obviously you were where you're from, but talk about what was your vision back there. What was a little Jedidiah?
Man, growing up in Alaska was like growing up in a different time, and in some cases, like a different world. As I've gotten older, and I actually can relate to guys like you in a lot of cases more than I relate to people born and raised in the lower 48, because in some cases, other parts of the world are still developing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I've always thought of Alaska as a still developing country. Yes, technically it's a state. It was the 49th state. It didn't become a state until 1959, right? And it was a big deal. It still is, but there's still to this day less than 1 million people that reside there permanently, right?
Mm-hmm.
And again, considering the fact that it's 6 times the size of Texas, approximately, that is a lot of space with very few people. So I grew up in a world where infrastructure was and still is being developed. We didn't have, downtown shopping centers. You had Anchorage, and then you had Wasilla, which was kind of like a, they call this the Valley Kids or the Bush Kids over there. It was like a wannabe. You had a Cars, which is now a Safeway. That was the big shopping center in Wasilla,
Oh, wow.
right? Fast forward, 20 something years later, they have the Costco's, they have the Walmarts,
Yeah.
things like that.
But back in the days, to ship stuff out there,
Yeah, man, it
probably
was a different
difficult.
world. And
Yeah.
gravel roads, our family would team up with other families and they'd make a monthly trip. The moms would get together and make a monthly trip to Anchorage to
Oh,
go
wow.
bulk up on groceries. We grew up subsistence, hunting, fishing, all of the things that you would imagine, which is
Yeah.
what drew my parents up there, right? Like, let's be honest, my dad was born in Minnesota, but he was captivated with the last frontier. I want to go explore. I want to go see something that is hard to find, in the 1970s in the world. And then my mom, for her, it was the military. And then for me, being born and raised there, I just didn't know any different. But small town culture, I think, actually is a really, really valuable skill set if you at least appreciate it, looking back. It allows for the understanding and I guess the value system of people over stuff.
Right.
Can also get you in trouble because in some cases, you don't know how valuable the stuff you have is in certain contexts. And that can be challenging sometimes when you're negotiating.
Right. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You don't know you're wearing a Rolex. You just know it keeps time. Oh, I'll give it to you.
Yeah.
The other guy's like,
yeah.
that's a Rolex.
Yeah.
I'm going to go use it as collateral and leverage, right? So things like that were missing from my childhood.
Yeah, but man, about a small town, you appreciate more of time together with friends, you're more resourceful to things, right? Like you said,
Yeah.
we got to get together and go travel and to buy groceries. You need to preserve certain way, and that makes you a lot more resourceful in life, man. And I think those, I came from kind of a small town myself, or Brazil. Actually, when I came here in high school, dude, 2001, I just moved here, and people like,
What grade were you in?
I was freshman in high school.
Okay, so
Yeah.
I graduated. I asked because I graduated and went to Europe in 2000, 2001.
Oh, really?
So you
But
were coming here, and
I was coming here. You come in, at Europe, dude. And so people were asking me, "Oh, is that cars in Brazil?" I was like, "No shit, it's monkeys, man. It's all we do. We fucking horses and shit. Like, what the hell?" But it's a thing that people don't realize, right? There's life outside of America sometimes. But Alaska, I feel like even though we said around the 50s was, a state, but I feel people still don't have a lot of knowledge what Alaska is.
It's true, man. I mean, I will say this. I think in the last 10 years, maybe 15, Hollywood, in an appropriate sense, through Discovery Channel, History Channel, things like that, they've really sunk their teeth into certain elements of what it means to be from Alaska, grow up there. My dad is featured on a show. He's on, I think, 2 or 3 episodes. It's called Railroad Alaska. Alaska Railroad or Rail. I get it flipped around sometimes. But yeah, he's a featured personality on the show. So in senses like that, there is exposure. But yeah, it is still such a vast and wild place to be from, to go explore. And that's what I knew. That was the first 20 years of my life.
So from there, you went to Europe.
Yeah, I got a contract with the DoD, an elite. I didn't realize it at the time, but just again, the combination of growing up where I grew up, certain skill sets. I was a snowboard instructor. Didn't know it until they brought me over, put me through their courses, which were elite. It was Olympic level stuff, man.
Oh, wow.
And then they turn you loose, and they've got these programs that are designed for their systems, and you're like, wow, this is amazing. 18 years old in Europe, traveling, part of a program that goes. It was just fascinating, and you see the world through a completely different lens, in that kind of context. It was life changing.
And when did you came to US?
So 2 years over there. And then of course, we had 9/11, right? Started essentially the modern version of what was almost a world war. There was obviously the United States, and all of our interests around the world were at risk. So they sent all unnecessary personnel home, and it was immediate. So next thing I know, I'm back in Alaska. I did not plan on going back to Alaska, mind you. Next thing I know, I'm back home, and I'm in college because I'm like, well, I don't know what else to do. And so I'm in college, and then I'm listening to professors talk about business ownership and things of that nature. And then I remember I was the guy in class that would ask the question. I'd raise my hand and say, hey, so how many businesses do you own? And when the response was more of like, why are you like, I don't own businesses. I'm a college professor. I'm like, wait a second. This is an institution teaching education about how to own and operate a business, but the expert, right, the thought leader that we're all here paying money
right
to learn from doesn't actually own or operate a business. Similar to our political class in some ways, right? So the Alaskan in me was like, peace out.
I'm gonna do this on my own, dude. I mean, it's true. I don't condescend college education, whatever, but I think college nowadays became a very specific niche that you want to go that is teachable. For example, if you want to be a doctor, there is no way that you can practice medicine if you don't go to a college, right?
Absolutely.
But
yeah.
for a lot of other stuff, man, especially I see a lot of young, and my time when I was about to go to college, it was the business administration.
Right.
It was a thing.
Right.
You didn't know what to do in your fucking life. You're just like business administration. And I'm sorry, but like I was meant to do the thing, but like little did I know that it's the same thing. You're going to be taught by a professor that never done business.
Right. And Neander, I think it's less about like, hey, I want to go do it my own way. Because back to your point, I actually am a family. I love being part of a community. I was a hockey player. I was a right winger as a left-handed kid. I was essential to making sure that the play was developed correctly and that we could score. But I was part of a team, right? So it's the same thing in economics, finance, education. It has its place, right? And I think what for me it was is realizing that where we are being indoctrinated to go for the answers
yes,
is really just one milestone along the way. It's really other people, right? Communities, that is really where you learn and develop what you're actually looking for. It used to be called being an apprentice, right? You'd go into a certain demographic market or trade to learn hands-on how it actually works, right?
right.
And so for me, that was really what it was, is wait, this is not the end point here like it's being marketed to. This is really just potentially a market along the way. But, I'm adventurous. And at the time, I'm like, I don't want to waste my time. Now, hindsight being 2020, the thing that college would have taught me if I would have gone longer than 2 years was how to understand systems that are, entrenched. They call it not administrative systems, but the point is that it's there, systemic, right?
Yeah.
So
the systems and processes and discipline, I would say.
Thank you. Yes. Some people learn in the military. I should have, that's one of the things that I regret in the way that I regret something
Which
like
not
that.
really. People go to college and they messed around for 4 years. And
Right.
There's not part of discipline there. I mean, look, man, we can debate about this all day long. The bottom line for me is this. There's college if you want to go to college, but I don't see as a return of investment.
Bingo.
In some return of investment, ROI, return of investment. So if you're thinking about what is my investment here, what I'm going to get out of it, that's where you should look at your life. into anything, not just college, but everything I'm going to go into is like, what is the return of investment in this? Right. And I see some of that, a kid, because I have 2 daughters, man. A kid
Yeah.
that are like, when they go to school, it's like, be sure what you're going to do. So don't waste your time.
Right.
Waste money or anything in that source.
Well, and that's a tactical decision, right? Like that was, if you understand that, and I think that was probably what set me apart from a lot of kids was I actually wanted to and go somewhere and accomplish something and do something. I didn't just want to go hang out and be at school.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a very social person. And
you think? Super
Slightly.
social person.
Slightly, man. And you spoke to this earlier, but I think part of that is my desire, especially this stage in my life. I've gone through a divorce that was really challenging. I've gone through, business challenges that, you find yourself feeling alone, feeling isolated, feeling like, wait, like I've put all of this effort and work into becoming somebody and building something, but none of it matters if you don't share it with community, right? If you don't have people and equitable people too.
Yeah.
That's another one of those lessons, right, that I've learned growing up the way I grew up is the equitable exchange of relationship.
Yeah.
It's not just a one-sided thing where, somebody's a shark and they're smarter than you, so they leverage you and they call that, a mutual benefit.
Yeah.
I've learned the hard way that that's actually a real thing that's not my culture. That's not my nature.
But Jed, how'd you become so sociable, man? When you walk in the room, it's like everybody hands go up. And to stay there, this guy, he's cool, man. He just had this awesome personality. It's a bright, good energy.
Thank you,
right?
man.
You talk well, you speak well, you communicate well. That's why we read in the beginning. It was like you connecting people, dude. And I see you do a lot of that. I think that's great.
It's because I actually genuinely love people. Like to give some context to that, how I grew up helped shape that. We were
That's a
dependent on
powerful statement, man. Do you love every people?
I do. There's some.
I don't love a lot of people, man.
Think about.
I love a bunch. I think I love more than I hate, but I don't love all the people.
Right. Well, let me give some context. Growing up, how I grew up, but the defined value of other people, regardless of what you agreed on, right?
Yeah.
It became irrelevant because you were dependent on one another.
Right.
Okay. Then you
That's
bring
cool.
right. So there's just a natural respect. Even if I don't like you, I need you.
Yeah.
And then you find people helping each other in seasons of life where they don't necessarily like each other, but they begin to appreciate each other. Okay. So in my case, right, then you have an encounter with, like I had an encounter with Jesus that changed my inner being.
Mm-hmm.
And that is still in process, but it changed how I saw myself and how I saw other people. And so that really tweaked something about the point you made is like, that's a really powerful statement. There's something in the Bible that it describes the love of God once experienced and realized now becomes available to other people on his behalf. So what it looks like is, yes, I love people because I know who loves me. That doesn't mean I like other people. In fact, I like people less today probably than I have ever in my life.
Yeah, probably that's what I was going at. But yeah, I understand, especially for that purpose when, on a religious basis, like, the love from above, and it teaches about love to one another. And it's a good thing, man.
Doesn't mean you got to like people, right?
Yeah.
Like, have you ever loved somebody that you're like, I love them and I see the potential value and the redeeming qualities, but man, right now, like, I don't really like.
No, and I was still gonna hold on to it. I still don't love some people. I just don't. But I'm just gonna keep it at that. But
no worries. So I was gonna say, there's one more element to that I just can't get away from. Is my name actually means loved by God. So.
Oh, really?
Jedidiah means beloved.
Oh, wow.
So
that's cool, man.
Right,
brother. Do you guys drink a lot of coffee out there?
Black coffee at the Roadhouse. All the local men would show up in the middle of the winter in their bunny boots and whatever, types of animal skins or combination of parkas and tarps. They'd come in, and it was a thing. And I have memories. So as a kid, I didn't like the taste of coffee, but I loved the smell because it was like going in from the cold, right? Like you're freezing your tail off, everything's frozen, and then you go inside, whether it's a wall tent, whether it's somebody's small cabin, whether in this case for me it was the Roadhouse in downtown Talkeetna, and you go in and it's filled with the smell of coffee and cinnamon rolls.
Let's talk about that here, and because it's the coffee time. Let's go.
This is fascinating because I wonder how many times a day you guys drink coffee.
Yeah, I lied.
First of all, what's going on? This is a quick fun fact in here. What are you to me?
Your twin brother.
That's my
Identical.
twin brother.
Identical
Every time we
twins.
see each other at events, it's like, that's my twin brother.
That's
People are
right.
Oh, that makes sense, right? When you talk about a lot of conviction of something, dude, people just like,
Oh my God.
you know what I mean?
It puzzles people. People are like, what? He's Brazilian. It's like, that's my twin brother.
We were born estranged.
Found out after grown man.
And God,
And then came Jerry Springer.
and God
Dude,
saw
that's
fit
funny.
to reunite us.
Jedidiah, thank you for coming to the show, man.
Absolutely.
I
It's an honor.
appreciate you. Absolutely. I have a question though, because Alaska, it's fascinating to hear what you're talking about Alaska there, because us Brazilians, we think about Alaska as a big piece of ice.
Right?
Pardon my...
No, that's great.
It's just, that's what we see on the
We
map,
think of
right?
Brazil like a soccer ball
Pretty much.
in a bikini.
No, for real,
No,
for
yeah,
real. Like,
that's kind of true though.
but that's because we don't learn about Alaska in school in Brazil at all. We learn about USA and Alaska is just there, and it's white. That's
yeah, we think it's kind of like Antarctica, like
Yeah.
kind of like
Okay.
seriously.
for real.
Pretty
So
cool.
Yeah,
whenever we hear stories,
but
from
Italo,
you-
we left school like from a long time. Too,
well,
so
no, but
yeah.
I went to school throughout all high school in Brazil. You didn't. I went through high school in
Yeah,
Brazil.
that's true.
You know, and they don't teach us anything about Alaska at all. So when you tell us about your childhood and all that, my question that came to my head in there is, you guys like coffee, you like cold beverages. Where do you guys get your coffee from? Because you guys don't grow coffee in there. It's impossible. So where do you guys get your coffee from?
Yeah.
Like Seattle?
Seattle's a huge market, right?
Right.
Yeah.
These days, especially.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, Washington State. But truthfully, man, growing up, it was imported. A lot of it was imported from Latin America.
Right.
It's just the system of transport, to get it up there was pretty extensive.
Yeah,
So it made it expensive unless it was like Folgers.
it's probably Canada and then to Canada and then went over. Yeah,
It's really the shipping routes.
so by
yeah,
shipping.
Yeah,
isn't
so
it?
Panama Canal up.
Yeah.
They'd actually come up through the shipping routes.
So
It was
if,
the
and,
fastest.
and if
direct
they're
way.
getting Folgers up there, that's not coffee. That's drug smuggling, right? there.
Right, man, right. So not real coffee. So, again,
I think one of these days we're gonna get sued of how much freaking Folgers we talk here, man. I'm sorry. One of these days we're gonna get a letter here in the studio. Like, stop talking about Folgers.
Folgers is the OG. You
It is.
can't-
It is.
As an American,
It
you
is.
can't appreciate coffee without talking about Folgers.
Yeah, it's been in every pretty much
Yeah,
household
but
in America.
I still don't. Well, actually, we actually found people that appreciate Folgers.
Oh, yeah.
They'll be like, "Man, I got this great coffee. I drink Folgers," and I was like,
And they talk with like, you can see sparkles in their eyes.
remember about conviction when we talk
Yeah.
about it, you own it, people like they're proving a point. Like we try literally this year, I'm not kidding you, we probably try over 50 different coffees
Oh,
or
no,
more.
more than that.
Wow.
I was gonna say close to 100, because there's a lot of coffee that don't even make it to the episodes because we
Right.
drink it all. Like we
Yeah.
drink coffee so much.
And we try a lot. We have subscriptions. People bring us coffee. We try different stuff. So yeah, we try a lot of coffee in a year. And when they come to us about Folgers, like they are convicted
Oh.
that they're drinking something better than we drink. And I was like, I dare you. How dare you?
But that's fascinating.
No, but it's fascinating to me that you guys get. It's kind of like a Hawaii in a way, right? Whatever gets you guys is what you get.
Yep, very much so. And coffee was part of it was very much about being around the fire. So
Yeah.
where I'm from, you you didn't roast it the way you can now, but you had your coffee that you would steep, right?
Yeah.
And it was done in a lot of cases growing up over an open fire. And so it was a very much a community, whether it was 5 of us or 500 of us, coffee was part of the conversation. It was part of the experience. It was part of the intimacy.
Coffee brings people together, man.
It brings people together.
And first thing you said, I don't want to make the coffee cold, but like,
yeah. Let's just sip on this.
the smell is the first memory of everybody with
Everybody.
coffee. There are people, they don't drink it, don't like it, but they like the
love it.
smell.
Yeah.
And the smell brings you back like down memory lane. Like, I remember when my grandma used to do this. Like, so there's a lot of memories that is unlocked whenever you sip on a cup of
So
coffee.
what am I drinking here?
So this one, it's a coffee from Brazil.
Okay.
It's also gonna be on the F Monday in here.
Mm.
And the curiosity on this coffee, see how it looks like dirty on the
Yeah.
top?
It looks like a dirt mug, actually.
Yeah.
Right now.
It's got like a bronze
Yeah,
tone to it.
yeah. And so this is all the oils
Okay.
that you should have on your cup every time
Okay.
you drink a good cup of coffee.
Okay.
But whenever you drink Folgers, for example, this oil is expelled during the time of high roasting. So that's why it's so shiny. Whenever you
got
get good coffee, it's like a very like, it's dull. Like
Okay.
it's just a brown color, looks like a caramel,
Right.
like, you know?
So do you drink it like a shot?
No.
You
You
sip
you
it.
sip like your mom told you not to. Slurp like.
Okay.
You get a lot of oxygen. Let's go.
Cheers.
Cheers.
And doesn't need to be super piping hot either. This is
Oh, that's
perfect.
very
It's
nice.
almost like a light tea. I went to, was this year, was in January. I went to, the islands there, Victoria Islands by, when you go to Canada and cross by Seattle and
Yep.
you go to those
Yep.
islands there.
Mhm.
And had this,
The San Juan Islands?
the big hotel, they have a tea party
Mhm.
or a tea thing. What an experience, dude. They send you a bunch of course of pastries and you drink this China porcelain stuff, like really cool. And amazing tea. I didn't try the coffee, but this just remind me of that. The taste that is just so cool, man. Because I was drinking a tea that was very similar.
So whenever you do the slurp,
Yep.
do the slurp, drink the coffee, but keep it in your mouth
So let it
for
sit.
like 3-4 seconds. You're gonna see how it's gonna, all the flavor is gonna come out. Just let it sit in there, let it kind of wash out.
Oh yeah. So there's an
opens
art
up.
to it.
Yeah.
It's kind of like drinking wine, drinking good whiskey.
Yeah. I was just thinking that. So you got Neander in the coffee, or
No.
Neander, did you get
He
Italo? in
he
the
created a
coffee?
monster here.
Yeah.
It's his dude. The first time that he tried to get me to drink this type of coffee at his house, it was me, another friend. So the table was kind of like this, and Neander's over there in this kitchen doing his thing, telling us about the coffee. He's super passionate about
Yeah.
it, So he's trying to get us to try something good. He would pour us a coffee, and then he would turn around to do something. Me and then this friend would just grab sugar and just pour. It's like, God damn it, dude. And just sip on it, because we were
Son
not,
of a bitch.
we did not like it because we were so used to coffee like
Right.
Folgers. In Brazil, we had this thing that's called the Three Hearts. The Three Hearts is the most famous brand in Brazil.
Okay.
Three Hearts is to Brazil what Folgers is to America.
Yeah.
And we grew up on that, and it just tastes awful, but we love the sugar on it. So having to experience this at his house, and this was back in 2018, 2019-ish.
2019.
Yeah, and then I only got into coffee in 2021, December 2021, and that's when everything just kind of like.
And it's-
no 2022, right? December 2022.
When we went to Brazil,
Yeah, because that's when we started
Yeah.
the podcast. Yeah,
Yeah.
so 2022.
Okay.
I took him to my cousin's farm. He's the best coffee Brazil champion 2 years in a row.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, dude, it's an experience.
Wow.
It's awesome.
Well, how do I
And
go?
then, well, let's go, man.
Whenever
That
you're down
sounds
there,
amazing.
Whenever you out there, like we have a farm there too.
Wow.
yeah, it's like an Airbnb, so
Yeah.
you can basically camping in the, let's say campus, stay at the Airbnb,
Mm-hmm.
and you can pretty much go to at least 6 farms,
Oh yeah,
at least.
bros,
And
they're all
and-
local, and they're very. It's only 6,000 people.
Tell-
a very small
Tell
town.
him
There's a village.
the cherry on top though. He can hike the that's the highest peak in
Second highest peak
second
in
highest
Brazil.
peak
is
in
hike.
Brazil.
Really
You go
cool.
over the clouds.
Wow.
Yeah, right on the
So you
bottom.
get hyped up on coffee
and then you high your
and then
peak. Yeah.
hike.
yeah,
right?
it's pretty badass.
Because I think I heard you saying earlier that there's more caffeine, right?
There is more caffeine in a pour over than an espresso,
Okay.
because espresso is just a small quantity with a lot of information
Right.
that gives you a placebo effect that makes you think that it's a stronger coffee,
Okay.
but it's just based on flavor.
Got it.
This, because the water has more contact with the coffee,
Uh-huh.
and caffeine
Releases.
caffeine needs time and temperature to be released. It give you almost double the amount of caffeine than you get from espresso.
Man, talking with you about coffee is like talking with Scott McGrath about like financial
Yeah.
systems. Like there's so
It
much
gets
to learn.
nerdy. It gets also
I love
like,
it though.
Yeah, you'll be like, yeah, shut up, Vito.
No, thank you guys. I think this is freaking awesome. What's crazy to me is like you're the one that got him turned on to it, and now he's the guru.
Yeah, I stop at some point and I was like, I don't need more of this. Like, I just want to drink good coffee.
But that's more
But I
the-
was very passionate of drinking. He became this geek of like, yeah.
He's applying the techniques that he learned from this book that he read, this Who Not How. So he taught me.
Dan Sullivan,
So-
one of my absolute favorite books.
Yeah, so he taught me, and now he can get all the benefits of drinking good coffee from me.
Man,
Dude, that's a little gift from us. So whenever you have coffee at home,
thank you.
a little something there. Feel free to post it on Instagram. I always repost whenever people are enjoying their coffee.
The real grind.
Yeah, you
Let's
got it,
go.
man. I want to hear more about your story, Jedidiah. As always, thank you so much for sharing a cup of coffee with
you.
me. And
What an
over
honor.
there.
This is
you
beautiful.
bet.
Let's
All right,
go.
Let's go.
Welcome to the corporate world, a place you go to every day against your will, with endless meetings. And worst of all, shitty coffee. Introducing Fuck Monday, a specialty coffee for those who want to kickstart the week with a better taste. A reminder to do your own thing or go after what's brewing in your head. Unless you're thinking of reading tarot cards for dogs or other dumb ideas like that. For everyone else, Fuck Monday, your daily dose of attitude.
Good coffee, man.
Great coffee. Great conversation.
Brett, talk to me about how business started and, your ventures of real estate, connecting people, your businesses. Let's go.
Man, thank you, by the way, for asking that question. I think for everyone, we all hear that like life is a journey, and for some of us, we have goals and dreams and aspirations that come to pass at different seasons in our lives. And I think in probably every case, there's always a preemptive set of challenges, right, that you are faced with. And for me, just being, again, the nature that I am, the way that I have grown up, is real estate became attractive to me because I was always solving problems for other people. And again, what I learned in Alaska, infrastructure. So I've always been fascinated with the source of something, like foundational. Homes, this building, for example, looks great. And I'm like, how and why does this function and work well? What about the infrastructure of this makes it what it is? And, along the way, man, I've realized that people are such an important process and such an important part of that. By process, I mean the relational development, getting to know people. And so for me, it was helping people with their infrastructure. One of my first clients in Washington, they owned, close to 100 residential properties in their portfolio. They understood the other side of the game. And I was coming into it, helping them solve problems, creative solutions for different properties. One project was 9 months long, and it was turning a 16-plex back into a 12-plex in a building that was built in the late 1800s in Spokane, Washington.
Yeah.
So you can kind of understand that learning curve, right? And then understanding, how to solve complex problems, with my hands and with my mind, and then evolving into got exposed to direct sales and started learning about people and started learning about volume. That there's a product that the same product can be sold 10 million times in a day, or you can sell 5 units of something that's worth $10 million, once a year, and it's the same math, right? So things like that, like, oh my gosh, but it's all driven by people. And then that progression led me into understanding the people side and the infrastructure side, but what about the money? And that has really been this last chapter of my life, Neander, is understanding how the money works. You can have great people, you can have great ideas, you can have great infrastructure. But if you don't understand how the financial part of all of this works together, there's a lot of great ideas that are buried in graveyards, right? A lot of dreams, a lot of goals. And for me, this last, our newest chapter has been really becoming a student of how the financial, not the corporate commercial financial systems, because that's just part of it. But how does money actually work in our economy as it relates to people and infrastructure? So I have always considered myself a student to learn and glean. And also, if you're familiar with Andy Andrews, he wrote a book called The Noticer. Similar guy to Dan Sullivan. They know each other. They run in some of the same circles. That there's always somebody or something that we can learn from. And for me, that has been taking all of the knowledge and experience. I did consulting for home investors for a long time. It was a residential, they're a $6 billion company. They teach people how to own and control residential real estate, acquisition, management, development, all that stuff. And that led me on a journey into syndication. And as you know, the syndication world is, it becomes a smaller community, but it's built on a very large support system, right?
Yeah.
And I've always wanted to be somebody that added value. And so education, right, became the platform that I realized, man, there's a lot that God has allowed me to understand. And the reason I bring up Andy Andrews is because that book, The Noticer, he was the guy always noticing the thing that everybody else missed. That was the one thing that made everything else work. And I feel like
the small details.
Yes, sir. Yeah. Scott McGrath, who I work with and have great respect for at Nexus Business Advisors, he says it like this. He says, amateurs hyper focus and obsess about strategies and ideas. Experts really get into the details as to how and why something works. And that, I guess, would be, the journey I'm on now, or at least the phase is getting into the inner workings of syndication, residential real estate, triple net, all of the different markets that we are connected to. And not only what they are, but how they work as it pertains to money. The other side of this, man, that nobody wants to talk about is insurance. Not insuring the asset, but insurance as a tool and a vehicle.
Yeah.
It's this like lost art. But if you look at American history from a financial standpoint, it's mutual companies that actually are the originators of life insurance and those types of tools that are some of the oldest and most solvent, stable reserves in the world. Why? And for me, it's why is that? Understanding that, with trusts. I know you've had some recent conversations around that. Trusts are 500 years old in the form and function that we use them. They go all the way back to England. And this country was founded in large part on a lot of the concepts around, the English way of owning and controlling land. Now, they had a monarchy still, but they had a system of hierarchy that allowed for private ownership. We all know the movie Robin Hood. You guys familiar with Robin Hood? Robin of Locksley. The idea that his family, owned these beautiful pieces of land in England way back then, is a real thing. And so for me, it's that kind of fascination. How does this stuff work together, and understanding it in a way that isn't just to my benefit, but how I can equip other people. Look, I don't have a college degree. I don't have a PhD. I'm not that guy with all of that credentials, but I have been a lifelong student of why things work the way they work. So
I love that, man. That's a great way to put it together, because like you talk with a lot of confidence in a nice way. And I agree with you 100%. There's a point of time that you are wealth building, and there comes to a point that you need wealth preserving. And how about you start with already a mindset of doing both?
Right. What if you could do both at the same time?
Yeah.
Is that what I think you're saying,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's exponential.
Yeah, 100%. And student of life is actually being one of the things of mine, man. For the past years, I creating business, starting business, and now a lot of things I learned by myself. But if I could seek more of mentorship,
Yeah.
if I could seek more of surrounding myself with people that are already ahead of me, you know what I mean? I felt at the time I was probably some of my own thinking I was doing great, but that was the next step.
Yeah.
That was something to learn.
What in your story, and I relate to you in some ways, because there was a season of your life where you were probably involved in some intrapreneurship. where
Yeah.
you were helping somebody who had a vision and a vehicle and maybe a brand, helping them escalate and scale what they wanted to do, but they couldn't have done it without your influence and your expertise, right?
That was part of it too. That, like you said, I like where you position, like you said, as a chapter.
Yeah.
That was one chapter, but there was a chapter before that, prior to that, that I had my own company. I had my own sets of employees, and I had a home automation company.
Yeah.
And that, as an entrepreneur, I look where my business is today and where I was then. That was probably 10 years ago. Man, it's crazy. The mindset, the knowledge. It's not even the expertise of doing something, right? Because I was very good at what I did.
Right.
But the expertise of doing business,
Right.
having the right mindset, build teams, think bigger, go. Oh my God, if I could go back in time and the brain that I had today, I will, holy shit, dude.
Oh.
And I think we all kick ourselves in
Neander.
a way with the same thing, right? If I go back in time, and we can't. The bottom line, you can't. Doesn't fucking matter. What it matters is what you do it today.
Yeah. No regrets.
No regrets.
But hindsight's 2020, right? And I think for me, I can relate because I'm sure, and maybe you alluded to this, but there was probably some challenging transitions between where you were 10 years ago and where you are today.
Sure.
It wasn't just like, oh, I just woke up one day, so I'm gonna do this. You know, for me, it came hard and it came heavy and it came fast, and it has taught me and is still teaching me that, like, humility and honoring others is so important, because at the end of the day, we come into this world with nothing. We as an individual leave this world with nothing, but we can still leave a legacy,
Right.
of you know, our reputation. And ultimately for me, it's like, I know that God himself knows in all of those moments of crisis and challenge and trial and, you know, whatever it is that throws at us as people, that he knows. And ultimately, like, that's a legacy for me that is so important. I also believe that it's important to leave a financial legacy.
Right.
Right. I believe that. And I believe that a lot of people are challenged with that because of limiting beliefs. And it's getting around, back to your point of mentorship, it's getting around the right people who think the right way, talk the right way, and also act the right way. Again, that goes back to that community where it's not just having the relationship that's one-sided, it's relationships that are mutually equitable.
Yeah.
You know, because that is the building block of what it's all about.
And Jedidiah, how can people get to contact with you, my man?
Well, on Instagram, the Net Worth Jedi is, you know, that's kind of my handle. I am the Chief Strategy Officer for Nexus Business Advisors, Nexus International. That's been a really fruitful relationship for me because
That's awesome, man. I didn't know you were part of that. That's
yeah,
cool.
Absolutely. Think of me like this season of my life, Neander, it's about people. And I think, you know, in some regard, I'm in that season of entrepreneurship because I've recognized the value around me that other people have.
And you know what? I heard this the other day at a conference, and collaboration is the new currency.
Yes. But check this out. And this is something for all of you out there that are like me. Okay. You love to help people. You love to connect people. One of the missing skill sets that I had was understanding how to appropriately value my own equity in that transaction, in that deal, in that relationship, and do it in a way that is, again, mutually beneficial. And this is where having mentorship, you know, I would recommend somebody find a qualified business lawyer, you know, or somebody that works in that space to help you understand how to put together some basic documents. They don't have to be complex, that can help you be and operate in the gifts that you have. If you're like me and you're a connector, in a way that protects you from ever, you know, taking things personally or ever feeling like you've been left out of something that you felt like you had legitimate interest in. I think those are some of those skills that help to define appropriate relationships when it comes to business, right? And then it does protect the personal interest.
100%.
So
Instagram, it is.
Yeah. And then, of course, you know, nexus.com/Jedi. That's really I would say the number one place to find me, because what I've discovered again is in that institution, what we're building, what I'm building with Scott is this is the vehicle that connects all of these other things that I'm connected to, you know, whether it's funds, whether it's fund management, some of the nonprofit work that I'm involved in. I have some close friends, Paul and Vanessa Hutchison, which if they haven't been on the show, we got to get them on the show.
Try to get them on the show. This is a message for you guys. We'd love to have you guys on the show.
Paul, Ada, these are my friends. These are your friends. Let's come together. Let's make it happen.
Let's go.
So with that said, man, yeah, you know, Nexus means the convergence.
Yeah.
And for me, that's the season that I'm in helping, again, connect people together. And Neander, I am so excited because what we do at Nexus is the thing that everybody in my circles has been looking for and needs. We have the infrastructure to support it. And that for me to be a part of in the season is so fulfilling and so exciting. I travel a lot now.
That's awesome, man.
So I love it.
I love that. Jedidiah, that's great. We're going to actually ask you some questions. Put you on the spot a little bit, man.
Okay.
Let's see. Let's ask you some tricky questions. This is Spill of the Bees with Jedidiah Wick. Let's go. Focus on the journey or focus on the destination? Say we love.
Oh man.
Think we love.
It is this season for me, it has to be about the journey. I think for a long time it was about the destination because of where I came from. But yeah, it's definitely learning. And for me, that is a real thing. Learning to focus on the journey.
It's powerful. Building a legacy or living in the moment?
I think, yeah, speaking of that earlier, is the desire to leave a legacy, not only of tangible things, but of the impact that my life has made on the lives of others to their benefit.
Interesting. All right. Master of one trade or jack of all trades? I've been thinking of this myself. What would I answer on this one, man?
Yeah, this is challenging because I think, again, I look at my developing years, and we had to be very diverse in our skill sets, you know, from understanding how to stay alive in the cold to how to build something to how to preserve something. And that was part of my intrinsic nature. But I covet other individuals' ability to make it about one thing and really hone in and really focus. And so honestly, I know this is a long answer, but that's been part of the self-discovery I've been on in this last season, is to recognize and appreciate my gifts and my design, but also pursue areas that I'm not necessarily naturally gifted at. And that would be one of those things. Really making it about one thing is very challenging for me, honestly. So that's the one I would say right now. That's what I would love to be excellent at.
Nice. Instant gratification or long-term rewards?
Long-term rewards with celebration points along the way. That's a learned skill. It's challenging for someone like me that grew up in survival, because we were always in delayed gratification, and you never realize when you're not.
I know this new generation doesn't understand this, man.
They don't. So for me, it's definitely delayed gratification, but taking the time and the intention, Neander, to stop and celebrate where you are right now, and not get that confused with chasing instant gratification, right?
Let's go. Get off of social media.
Yeah.
That's the new thing. Learning from books, or learning from experiences?
Both.
Both.
It has to be. book knowledge. I grew up without a TV, without running water, without all of that stuff, right? And I read and I read, and I was a consummate. I could read a novel by the end of my 4th year. I could read and fully comprehend what I was reading. I didn't have context for it, but I could read it. Without the experience on the other side of that information,
Interesting.
knowledge
man.
puffs up, but wisdom edifies.
That's cool. All right, innovation through tradition or innovating through disruption?
Innovation through the resurgence, which is disruptive. I think things are in cycles. I think we're on one of those eras where it looks like disruption, but it's really the rediscovery of old things that have always been. So it's
A lot of insightful answers here, man. I like it. It's supposed to be a funny thing, but like Jedidiah is
sorry.
like inspiring. No, it's great, man. It's awesome.
Thank you, man.
This was Spinning the Bean with Jedidiah, man.
You know what's cool? On that question on the jack of all trades or master of none, there is a continuation to that quote. Do you know that? It says, jack of all trades, master of none, but oftentimes better than a master of one.
Huh. I didn't know that. Thank you.
That's an interesting thing, man. I mean, I know that it's along our lives we should master on something, but we should be open to learn new skill sets, right? Obviously, as you get older, you have limited time.
Yeah.
And we have to pick something that is strategically will work and be strategic, you know? That's why, man, I have this saying, one of these days I'm going to patent this. It's called underwrite your life.
Yes.
Underwrite your life, man.
I feel that,
Everything you're going to
Neander.
do, just put it on paper, strategize and put it on how are you going to do if this happened and that happened. Right? If you're going to master something, you have to be like, is this for pleasure or is this for something in business? It's two different things. You know what I'm saying? But brother, it was great to have you here today, man. You saw it when we just moved to this studio. Have you ever been to the other? Yes, you've been to the other one and we were just building the stage.
I was here when this
And
was
you're
getting
here
put
bitching
in, man.
about our floors. And I was like, this is going to get rotten and stuff. And I did not listen to you, but it's getting rotten actually. So I'm kidding you, brother. Thank you so much for coming here, man.
It is an honor. Neander, Italo, it's an honor. It really is. So thank you.
Let's grow together, man.
Let's
you
do
know
it,
what I mean?
man.
I appreciate
Now's
you.
the time.
And this is the time that we all collaborate one another, help each other, because success is a lot better when we are along with people that you like.
Amen.
Let's go.
Let's
This
go.
is the real grind.
Hold on 1 second. He's the guy with all the insightful quotes. What would you have to tell yourself if you're 18 years old right now, Jedidiah? Give me like a 30-second quote in there.
It is important and valuable to be wrong and also say no, even if you are wrong. FOMO is a waste of time. Don't get caught up in it. Take time to develop the skill sets that will allow you to weather storms, not of your own creation. When other influences, people, circumstances come in, remember it's not your fault. And at the same time, responsibility, personal responsibility, is a valuable treasure that you can discover and monetize in those moments.
Let's go.
See, you can't get this anyplace else. This is the real grind, guys. This is the real grind. So this episode is sponsored by F Monday. If you're like Jedidiah and grew up in Alaska, this is your chance. You can subscribe to our coffee and get our coffee anywhere in the world. That's where we're gonna be giving you the best coffee that we sip on this show. Follow us on Instagram, fmonday.com. That's where you're gonna find this coffee. The Real Grind Show on Instagram. That's where you're gonna find all these episodes, little glimpses here and there, tips and tricks about coffee in real estate. Don't forget to share it to your friends, and I'll see you on the next episode. This is the real grind. Let's go.
Waking up to success, now we getting it started. This is the real grind. Everything you've been wanting, building an empire, no question. Talking about real estate, investing, making the millions, no stopping. While we sip